there are two types of assessment. Remember, I defined common. Now the two types of assessment are summative and formative. Let's talk about summative first. Summative is what happens at the end of something. Rick Stiggins from the Assessment Institute talks about assessment of learning. It's the end result. If you're talking about unit tests, if you're talking about an ACT test or an SAT test. I'm an avid NFL football fan. I like it very, very much. And I look at it like this. I'm talking about football games. That's the end result. After everything else, how did the team do and the individual child do for the game, the end result? Whereas formative assessments we refer to as assessment for learning, is how do they do along the way. Again, going back to the football analogy, I use that as practices. In other words, your summative assessment is that end result. How do they do? Whereas the practices along the way are your formative assessments. There are a variety of reasons to do both. We have to have a marriage between the two. Please don't leave here and say, well, Jerry said we didn't have to take SAT or ACTs anymore. That's not what I'm saying. But there's got to be a marriage. The reason we use assessment of learning, that summative, is we need to check how they're doing at the end, their status. We inform others. We talk about superintendents, principals, parents, putting it in the newspaper. That's what's published. And we focus in on standards when we look at assessment of learning. Assessment for learning, we are looking at how they improve along the way. We talk about students to themselves. What do you need to improve on? What do you need to improve on? Think of the football player again. If in fact during his assessment of learning, during the game, he had a great passing ratio, but he didn't punt very well, then during the week, during his formatives, he's going to work on punting. Same thing with this. And then finally, we work on those enabling targets, the smaller targets, how you get there along the way.